Good evening and welcome to Will's webinar, and I'm delighted, I'm really excited to have our guest on this evening, which is the wonderful, the incredible Michelle Zelli. Round of applause, everybody. Everybody at home, clapping their hands. Welcome to the webinar, Michelle. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening, of what is a wonderful evening out there. I'm sure it's the same on your side of London as well, to be able to be here with us this evening and people that are wanting to tune in. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any excuse to chat to you and chat about consciousness and brainwaves and pineal glands and all those things, I'm there, Will.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, yes, we are going to be talking about how to raise your consciousness via changing your brainwaves. We are going to be going into that. Just to sort of do a little bit of housekeeping, first of all, guys. So there is a chat box here. But what we want to do is we want to ensure that we can engage with you as much as possible and give you the ability to make this interactive. Because, yes, Michelle and I are on the webinar, but we are live, we are here, it is happening now. It is 7:32 on the 14th of on the 14th of May, and we want to make this so that we can all engage and we can all get involved. So what I would like you to do is, if you're not already in there, I will post the link to our Facebook group. Join our Facebook group, and there is an official thread webinar, official webinar thread, should I say, on the screen that hopefully you can see right now. And any questions you have, post them there. But also, if you could just do me a favor, just to make sure that the sound and everything's working okay, if you can just also post on there now, just saying, yep, we can hear you loud and clear, everything's working okay, because it would be an absolute travesty for Michelle and I to be talking about everything we're going to be talking about and nobody hear us. So if you could please do that, that would be absolutely amazing. So then we know that you're there, rather than use the chat box, because then that way, if you can let us know that you can hear us on the Facebook official thread, that will be amazing. And then that way we can really make the most of this and get you guys engaging. And again, I know I'm stressing this and sort of going over it, but ask any questions that you have, anything you want to know, anything you want to hear, then please post them on the official thread so we know we are operating, because that's what we'll be monitoring, or what I'll be monitoring specifically throughout the webinar. So for those of you that, or for those that don't know much about you, Michelle, what is it you do?
I'm a human potentialist, which is really a posh term for a coach who curates the best processes, the cutting edge processes for change from around the world. That's it, really.
Love it. And what you spend a lot of your time doing is literally traveling the world, gaining new insights, gaining new information to be able to bring back and share with your clients, but not just your clients, but with everybody via various platforms like Instagram and things like that, I'm right in saying.
Absolutely. And, you know, I can only work with a certain number of clients, and I just feel so passionately about helping people change. Having spent years and years in long therapy sessions and getting nowhere very fast, I just wanted to make it my business to bring some really fast, effective change and transformation work to everybody.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think you and I were certainly very similar in terms of sort of our passion, our thirst for knowledge, and bringing together the things that can ultimately create change for people in terms of their own way of thinking, their own way of being, feeling, having, and doing, ultimately to achieve their potential. And obviously that's very evident in your human potentialist title, which I absolutely love. So all right, so I really want to go into the essence of what people are capable of, because as a human potentialist, you know that people have a huge potential, and a lot of people aren't achieving the potential that they're capable of. So I believe one of the ways of doing that is by people being able to gain new insights. I mean, I talk a lot about, if you think differently, you can act differently. If you can act differently, you can get different results. And for me, creating new results and new ways of thinking comes from becoming more conscious, becoming aware of what we didn't know before. And I know you talk quite passionately about raising your consciousness or becoming more conscious and various ways of doing that. So what is, in your opinion, increasing your consciousness? And B, what are the benefits of doing it?
Well, I think the first thing about consciousness is it is an awareness. And when you climb to the top of the mountain, you can see a whole new vista that wasn't even available to you halfway down. And that's what consciousness is. Well, you know, and it can be pretty tough. It sounds such a pink and fluffy thing, but, you know, raising your consciousness is no mean feat. And you get to the top of the mountain and boy, you can just see another mountain range. And there you go again. And I don't think we ever as humans reach our full potential, or, you know, I don't think even the masters have done that, but we have so many advantages and benefits in life, in our human beingness, when we do raise our consciousness. And we're seeing a lot of people on the planet doing that right now. And we're sort of kind of splitting the planet into two now, the raised consciousness and the non-raised consciousness. You're seeing it more every day.
I think, yeah, hitting the nail on the head is awareness, you know, becoming more aware, aware of what's going on internally. And in today's day and age, we're becoming more and more obsessed of what is directly in front of us because of these things and what other people are aware. So we aren't becoming aware of what's going on internally. We're looking externally a huge amount, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And it's also aware of what you're being aware of, aware of what you're focusing on, aware of what we're saying to ourselves. So it really is, it's a practice of a 360, if you like, aware of the implication of what I'm doing on the world or on the other person. So it's a huge commitment, consciousness. But we start with, as with everything, baby steps.
100%. And I think that I know you talk very openly about this, and it's one of the many reasons that I admire you, is that becoming more aware isn't all fun and games.
I call it the warrior path. And I think
path, I love that.
The warrior path, you know, I think that when we make a commitment to step up, to up level, to become more conscious, to become better human beings, to fulfill our potential, I believe that an intelligent force, I call it the universe, you can call it whatever you like, it colludes and it gives us the tests and the challenges that we need in order to grow, to get stronger, more powerful, to be the person we want to be. So it is anything other than an easy path. But this week I've actually been working on Warrior's Wobble. You know, I've had a pretty big wobble for 4 months this year. Some doo-doos hit my fan. And so it's given me an opportunity to really stop and watch the impact it has on me, on my nervous system, on my mind, my emotions, and put some new processes together so that, you know, there's no such thing as not having a gift. So everything's got a gift.
And I think I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's interesting you say you've had these 4 months. I personally have had the toughest period of my life I've ever had. It's taken me to places emotionally that I don't ever want to go to again, physically crippled me in certain ways. And some people are thinking, well, why the hell do I want to be increasing my consciousness if you're going to be going to those levels? But the point being is that it creates this ability to grow. And when you become aware of the hidden gift in those perceived to be challenging moments, I call it sort of growing pains.
Yeah,
then,
I've just written that down.
Yeah, it really is something that's extremely beneficial, and there are great rewards that come from that. So in terms of the benefits, then, so we're saying it can be, we can say it can be tough. I mean, one of the things that I love is, and not a lot of people believe this, but when I say to them, the film The Matrix is a documentary, and people are like, Will, you've officially lost the plot, right? But it's a documentary. It's an exaggerated documentary, but when I always forget his name, the guy says, do you want to take the actor in it, I can't remember who it is, someone might know, let us know, but they said, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? And you take the red pill. Well, that is consciousness, effectively becoming more conscious, because you can't unlearn things when you've become more aware. And once you start on that path, you do get to realize that reality isn't what we think it is. And we have the ability to bend reality, and you have the ability to change all of these things, which is great. But what are the benefits? So if people listening right now are maybe not conscious or aren't proactively working on increasing their consciousness, what are some of the upsides to it?
Okay, well, the first thing is that you have as much control as it's possible to have over your life. So when we're unconscious, we tend to be victims, we tend to blame, we tend to judge, we get wrapped up in the drama of things. Becoming conscious, I guarantee you will no longer want drama, because when you're conscious, you're looking at yourself almost like a bank account. What comes in, what goes out, and it's energy. And for instance, if I allow drama in my life, the amount of energy that I'm expending for what? A bit of a gossip, or to feel important for a minute. But actually, imagine putting that energy consciously, mindfully, channeling it into something that really matters to me, be it making more money, making more love, making more connections, being happier. Doesn't matter. I'm not here to say what to channel it in, but the value of taking it away from what I call a low vibe into a consciously high vibe it's life-changing. Really is.
So you mentioned something previously, which was seeing, or I think I used the term finding the hidden blessing, which is being able to see things from a different perspective. And for me, one of the things that I spend a lot of my time doing with my clients is getting them to see things from different perspectives, because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, which is the famous Wayne Dyer quote, right? And it's so true. You can see things from a different perspective, and being able to get that different view, whichever it might be, the sort of meta view or your perceptual positioning, whatever it might be, to sort of use some NLP terminology. But there's doing that, and then there's sort of taking responsibility. And I think that's one of the key elements, isn't it? Is being able to take responsibility. The fact that the word responsibility is response and ability is your ability to respond to what's going on and seeing what's happening there, and proactively take those decisions to see things. But you said about vibrations. So I want to touch on this because this is important. I think it's going to lead on to where we're going to go shortly as well. And I remember years ago hearing people talking about, well, raise your vibration. I was like, what a load of rubbish they are talking about. What absolute rubbish. Raise my vibration. You're having a laugh. You don't understand this thing that's going on. It's not possible that this problem I've got has got anything to do with vibration. That couldn't be any further from the truth, can it?
No, everything's about vibration, because everything is energy. And even more exciting is that everything is made of the same atoms. There is no distinction between an atom that makes this bottle of water from this pen to my arm. The only difference is the density of the atom and the speed of the vibration. So when we start to see that we are energy and we live in energy, and we can manipulate, influence, create, sorry, you can't create energy. What you can do is you can transfer it. You become an alchemist. So whatever it is that's coming into your life, one of my favorite sayings is, my job is to help you turn your shit into fertilizer. And, that's the name of the game. It's all energy. And if we can channel it and hone it and direct it in the direction of what we want more of, then the magic happens. And I know you're going to pick me up on the word magic.
So I am, because for me, what is great about you, again, there's many things, but you don't come from this super spiritual world. I mean, your background was very corporate, boardrooms, just sort of city, I'm guessing City London, but you were traveling around the world, but sort of very channeled in, focused, sort of none of this voodoo, woo-woo spiritual world, which is nothing against, it just doesn't fit for me personally. But it is a form of magic, really, isn't it? Let's face it, it is a form of magic. But what I love now is that science is catching up with spirituality. We're finally able to explain these things. I'm a very left brain thinker. I'm very logical. So if I can't understand why something works, for me, I don't want to know. Now, I say that's not necessarily true, because I've got a light that's shining on me right now. I don't know exactly how that light's working, but I'm using it. And this is the thing, is that there's not a single person watching this webinar right now that would know exactly how the technology that we're using to even put this webinar on is working. I say there's no one. There might be. So I apologize if I've just excluded you, and you do know exactly how this is working, and the internet, exactly how it works, and the electricity and everything that's making this possible. But we still use it. And I think so many people, they don't use these laws to be able to manifest, create, bring into their lives what it is that they're capable of having via harnessing it. So like you said, there's ultimately that everything's vibrating, but it's at the speed it's vibrating, or it's at the density it's vibrating, which is going to create what's happening. And that's important. So how do people change their vibration? What are the practical steps to either increase the density or the speed of how they're vibrating?
So the first thing is, let's go back to consciousness. I want you to, anybody who's interested in doing this, calibrate what you feel. Okay, so we talk about it all the time. How are you doing, Michelle? You know, I've got a really heavy heart. I feel really down. I feel thick in the head. I feel blue. You can hear the tone go down. The body moves down. We're actually demonstrating the energy all the time. We just aren't aware of it. Or we'll say, what kind of day, I feel really light today. I'm having a bright day, there's so many different ways. So when we are aware of what we're feeling, we can start to calibrate our vibration. Am I having a low vibe day? And if you're having a low vibe day, you're going to be in rage, you're going to be in resentment, and that's victim anger. It's a toxic energy. You could be in deep grief. Now, there's nothing wrong with deep grief, but it is a low vibration. Now, having cleansed that, you're going to lighten your vibration. So I'm a big believer in, don't hold it in, let it out. If you feel like crying, get home, watch Bambi, let it out, and you're going to raise your vibration, because what's holding you down is inside of you. It's not around you. Okay, so it's what you actually vibrate at. Now, when you vibrate, you create a frequency. Imagine yourself like a radio receiver. So you've got a little aerial on the back of your head there. And what do we do in London? We turn it to 100 FM. It's 98.6 or 96.8, whichever it is capital. All it is a tiny tweak of the button. It's exactly the same with us. So we are running at a frequency that we are putting out to every being, but we don't consciously know that. And do you ever go down to the corner shop or whatever it is, and you're in a really good mood and you're beaming and you're just sending out great vibes, and all of a sudden you notice people smile at you, people doff their hat, the guy says, do you fancy some free chocolate or whatever it is, but you go in exactly the same clothes, you go exactly the same journey, but you're on low vibe. In your head, you're cursing somebody, you're judging somebody, you're giving yourself a hard time. You're not going to get the same response externally. So what we're doing is we're creating our reality, because the reality matches our vibration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. So I just want to remind people at this point, any questions you've got, please post them on the official thread, the official webinar thread in the Elite Network community. So any questions, I want this to be interactive. Ask questions on that thread, so then we can keep a track of them and you can come back to them and whatever else, rather than use the chat on here. So you ask them in the Elite Network community if you do have any questions about this. So determining how we feel. So the obvious thing that comes up for people is that, all right, well, I get that, Michelle. I get that I need to feel better, but what if I don't feel good? What if I don't feel good because X, Y, and Z are happening in my life right now, and they're things that make me feel unworthy, bad, guilty, whatever it is, the negative emotions. So because when those things are sorted, then I can feel those, then I can feel happy, I can feel this. there will be people watching this right now that I know will be thinking that. So what do you say for those people that are thinking along those lines?
Okay, well, the first thing is that personal mastery is about transcending your feelings. You see, we're feeling something all of the time, but that doesn't mean we have to let it rule our behavior. I could be feeling really angry or sad right now. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to spill that over you and your listeners. My job is to be able to contain that emotion and deal with it appropriately. Now, there are exceptions. You know, I don't know. We have a car crash. You go into fear, anger, whatever. That's a different ballgame. But 80% of the time, we have feelings that are running the show. We're allowing them to run the show. So we're becoming hostage to our emotions. Mastery is about understanding the gift and the message from every emotion. So, for instance, if you're feeling, let's just say, angry because this, that, and the other's happening, I'm going to wager a bet right here that when that stops happening, you're still going to find something to be angry about. You are actually projecting your emotions onto something. That doesn't mean you're dealing with it. It just means that you're, in my language, you're indulging yourself in a non-mastery. So let's bring it back. Let's get it together and say, okay, you know what? Right now I feel angry, and that's okay. But I don't need to spill it anywhere. I need to work out what's really going on. And anger, for instance, tells me that I perceive my needs as not being met. That's what anger is. So if I perceive my needs aren't being met, what am I going to do about it? Because getting angry per se is not the answer. The answer is understanding what the anger is telling you.
Mm. And what you just said, the understanding, which is the consciousness, which is the awareness piece, is turn it back in, is so important. I love there's a DeMartini quote. I reference DeMartini a lot. Him and Tony Robbins, between the two of them, are like, for me, the pinnacle of personal mastery. And he says about the masters live in transformation, whereas the masses live in the illusion of gain and loss. Because in any given moment, there is no gain, there is no loss. It just is. Yeah. But it's a matter of perspective as where you're seeing that. And by asking better quality questions, we can see where the gain is. And in any negative, there's a positive. And ultimately, to create balance, it's about being at the middle point of that to be able to see where the win is. And it can be tough. It can be really tough. And I had I'll share on this webinar. I had a situation fairly recently, and I have an affirmation. I haven't got it here anywhere, but I have an affirmation. I'm a master problem solver and possibility creator. And I was at that point, I just I could not see the perspective. I couldn't see it. And it got me to a particularly low place. And I was like, how can I, the master of possibility creation and problem solving, not be able to find this? And all it was I just had to get a little bit more of an insight, and it was there. And then poof, all of a sudden everything else changed, and that whole reality, it didn't mean the external situations changed, but the internal situations changed, and it completely transformed the way that I then looked at how I was going to be moving forward. So that's just from sort of a personal experience.
What was the benefit of that? I'm really curious. You went through that pain of being this person who sees yourself as this master solution solver. What was the benefit to you? Where was the gift?
The gift was, it made me realize that it gave me the opportunity that if I really harness everything that I know and deep down and really apply it, then it gives me an even better reason to prove how powerful this work is. And that was it, because my mission is I want to empower 1 billion people to unlock their full potential and make it happen. And it was getting to the point where I was like, and I talk about the ripple effects, something that benefits me, my family, my friends, community, society, humanity. And what I realized was that some of the situations that were taking place were having the negative impact, and all I want to do is have a positive impact on some people that were close to me. And I was like, this needs to change, but I couldn't find the way. And then I found the way, and the way was by being able to really harness all of this and really apply it and double down on it more than I ever have done before. And that was it. So yeah.
So I reckon that you actually saw things from a different perspective,
that was
and
exactly
that's going to help as a coach, because when your clients are going through that same block, you are going to have more tools in the kit bag.
Well, this is it, right? And you know, as a coach yourself, is that sometimes we learn tools to be able to use with people, but then we have obviously our own experiences that enable us to see certain things and very quickly notice certain situations, and it's definitely useful. So yeah, no, that's powerful. So, but we are, to our knowledge, the only species that has the ability to transcend, as you said, it is to be able to, rather than just, if a cow feels bad, they don't have the ability, they don't have the conscious awareness, to our knowledge anyway, to be able to change that, whereas we do, you know, and with the right amount of conditioning and with the right amount of perspective, we do have the ability to change that.
Yeah, we definitely do. And, you know, I'm a big believer that your past does not need to define you. And, you know, I mean, I had a really shitty deck of cards dealt to me at the beginning of my life. And I then, I behaved as the way that I was supposed to behave, being a scapegoat and bullied and abused and all of those things for many years. But it just struck me way too late in life, really, but it still struck me when I was around 40. I didn't need to still be acting out who I was supposed to be according to my family system. And that changed my life. And that was what got me on this path. And, you know, anybody that's listening to this, please don't ever let yourself hear yourself say, well, that's just who I am. I can't help it. That's what they told me. You know, I'm here to say that's your rocket fuel to go in the direction of your dreams, not the direction that they planted you.
So true. And I know you're a linguist, because a linguist as well. And when people use if you hear the word can't, if you just, every time you ever use the word can't, change it to won't, it completely changes the situation. It's not I can't do it, I won't do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I've got the choice. Whereas can't, you cripple. Whereas won't is, I won't do it. It's a choice. Well, you can either choose to or choose not to. It is your choice. Which is it's
such a tiny adjustment that makes so much difference. Well, totally agree.
So we've had a question from Mandy saying, do high energy vibes push away low energy vibes or encourage low energy vibes to raise their vibration?
Okay, really great question. So there's a couple of things here. First one, when you start raising your vibes, I guarantee you'll be tested. I think it's the universe. It could be anything, but that's my personal belief. So when I make a commitment to raise my game, raise my vibes, what's going to happen is some low energy, low vibes going to come towards me because I'm going to be tested. And it's going to be something that's got me before. It's going to be an old pattern that is coming back just to check whether I really want to be the new me. Second thing, so when I've got high vibes, is it going to, so low vibe will be repelled by your high vibe. Okay, we know about energy vampires. So when we've got a lot of energy, doesn't necessarily that it's high vibe. Okay, so let's not confuse the two. But low energy, low vibe and high vibe, we don't speak the same language, we don't see the same things, and we don't create the same reality. So if you've ever sat in a bar with somebody that talks about judging the people in EastEnders and just vitriol and not a positive, constructive conversation or giggle, and you're on a high vibe path, you've got nothing going on there, and it'll just fizzle out.
Cool. Great question, though. Great question.
Yeah,
so one of the other things on sort of the vibrational side of things, so obviously changing the way you're thinking, but there is an element of science in the form of brainwaves, isn't there? Which is one of the things I'm keen to talk about. And I know that you, in your search and thirst for new knowledge, you've gone out and looked for new ways of being able to develop your own potential. And that's one of the things that I love about you, is that, again, there's lots of things I love about you. I know I've said that many times, but this isn't stuff that you've learned. It's got you to a certain point in your life, and you're like, right now I'm going to teach my winning system that's got me to here. You're constantly on the offense, looking for the next best thing that's going to make a difference to your lives, and sharing that. And that's certainly something I believe we have a similar interest in. And there's something you've been doing recently, but on that exploration. But what I'm keen to know is what led you to wanting to learn more about brainwaves and the importance of them in the first place?
Well, I'd heard a lot about neural and binary beats and this kind of thing, and I was pretty cynical. I downloaded a few apps, but I could see that there was potential for it. It made sense to me that if we change our brainwaves, we're going to change the way we think and that we feel. But I didn't have any science or belief system that I could lay my hands on something that make a difference. And as luck, let's call it, would happen, a friend of mine, a very good friend, moved to Canada, went for an interview at a brainwave laboratory. She came back, she immediately emailed me and said, Michelle, you've got to meet this guy. Tony Robbins has worked with him, Michael Jackson's worked with him, you have got to meet him. That was something like September the 11th last year. By October the 15th, I was on a plane to Arizona, having booked and paid 50 grand to work with Dr. James Hart at his brainwave laboratory in Arizona. And what that means is that I went into a chamber for roughly 12 hours a day. We worked for 18 hours a day, but in a chamber for 12, which is pitch black, bloody cold, and one of the worst physical experiences of my life. I mean, I'm certainly not athletic, but of course, working 18 hours a day, there was no space for even a stretch or a walk or anything, and that was for a week. So what we were doing was being wired up to sensors. So hence my hair, and I'm still suffering because I was literally had glue in my hair all day, virtually all night, as they wired the sensors to my brain, and my brain was read through a truth detector for the entire period. So each one of my brain waves was altered according to my thoughts. In other words, I was learning how to manipulate my brain waves in order to change some of my memories, my traumas, but also to manifest.
So just to be clear, so I'm picturing this as well, right? So you've got your glue all over your head, you've got all the wires stuck to your head. Now, brain waves, as far as I'm concerned, are waves that are created from the brain going outwards.
Yes, so they are electrical pulses between neurons.
Yeah, and what you're saying was that they were changing the brain waves that were coming in, which were therefore then changing. So you changed them through thought.
Yes,
and
I get a score on a computer screen. That's the only thing that lights up every 2 minutes. Other than that, it's pitch black. And every area of my brain, and I was working on 12 areas of my brain. So there were 12 squares. And according to my score, whether it was low, whether it was roughly the same, or whether it was my highest score, was a color, white, blue, or green. So what also happened is that I had speakers surrounding my head, and every part of the brain had a different instrument. So they synthesize the brainwave to turn it into a sound. So the brain is getting auditory feedback. So the more of an orchestra is playing, the more alpha brainwaves I'm making, and the brain loves feedback. So when it was getting pumped all this music, it also then wanted to do more to get more music.
I love it.
Brilliant.
So let's go into this then. There's 4 types of brainwaves. Well, and I know we mentioned this yesterday, but there's 5 types of brainwaves, but one of them they don't believe is possible for us to achieve.
Gamma. I mean, there's no talk about gamma.
Yeah, so there are 5 types, but one of them they don't think is possible to achieve. So do you want to explain what they are and when you're having those brainwaves or creating waves, what that's doing for you? That's probably the best way of explaining it in sort of layman terms.
Yes, so beta is the standard brainwave that we use for day-to-day living. Okay, it's normal waking consciousness. Let's put it like that. Okay, it's also great. It's a very logical brainwave. So if you're going to open a window, you're going to be in beta because you don't need anything magical, mystical to do that. But you've also then got alpha brainwaves, and I've been in the chamber to specifically grow my alpha. And alpha is your creativity, it is your IQ, it's your EQ, it's your daydreams. It's so, creativity is hugely important. You think how creative science is, for instance, everything that requires us to look at things from a different perspective, to come up with a different solution is creative. It's because I used to think it was just painting a picture. I couldn't have been further from the truth. So after alpha, you've got the next speed, which is theta if you're American and theta if you're English. Now, theta is vivid imagery, but it's also believed to be the mystical brainwave. So if you want to go into really high level manifesting, and dare I even mention the Akashic records, you need to be in your theta brainwaves. So there's a lot of people and Neil, your partner in crime, I know that he works a lot with trying to improve his theta brainwaves. It is really to enhance your connection with the universe and your manifestation skills. So really, really phenomenal stuff. And then we've got delta brainwaves. Now, delta are interesting because you may have heard of the delta force. And have you heard of delta force, Will?
I'm thinking of delta force as in sort of more of the there's a company called Delta Force around the corner. It's a paintballing company. That's definitely not the one you're talking about. But yeah, it's more of sort of the army related things. So no would be the short answer.
Okay, so the Delta Force in the States is a band of people that have got waking delta that are employed by the American government. And what they're able to do is they're able to dictate or certainly heavily influence what somebody else is doing without that person knowledge. Now, it's said to be able to create a heart attack in another person. It's profoundly powerful. Now, most people do not produce waking delta brainwaves, and they say that unless you're a Zen master and ascended, or you're in a coma with a brain tumor, you're not going to have waking delta. I mean, I did have waking delta, which, as you can imagine, I almost did a backflip but I think it's because I've been doing conscious awareness for so long that I've trained my brain. Delta is also a brainwave that is very much influencing your sleep. So when you're asleep, you're going to be in delta. So that's really your options of your brainwaves. But you can see that if you were able to manipulate and dictate which brainwaves you were in, let's say, for instance, that I'm in alpha brainwaves and I take a traumatic memory and I flood that memory, however traumatic, with those alpha brainwaves. What do you think is going to happen? It changes. It's like a domino for your future and your past. It just tips them all over. It changes your entire perspective on that and its impact on your future.
So I'm curious to know, because this is, I get beta. You're just running at beta. That's like when you're just going through the motions, right? But surely if theta is your ability to draw in things to you, it's the vivid imagery and all the rest of it, surely you would want to flood your negative experiences, memories, etc., with theta brainwaves rather than alpha.
Theta are really Dr. Hart will not allow anybody to do theta brainwave training until they've done alpha.
Because right. So it's a progression.
It's a progression, but it's also comes with a hell of a responsibility, because you think about theta, it is the mystical brainwave. You are calling in forces, you are working with things that we don't fully understand. What we know is that it's got huge, huge manifesting impact. As I say, if you believe in the Akashic records, that's where you're going to connect with them. And that isn't for the faint-hearted. It's just like we were talking about manifesting or vibration. You've got to really take care of it.
Right. Okay. Fine. So it is almost like you say. It's like saying, well, look, there's a tool, but you could use it for good or for bad potentially. Because I've never heard of the Akashic records. So what's the Akashic records?
Well, the Akashic records. Now, forgive me if you're not spiritual, but this is a very well-known I'm going to call it a fact, it is scientifically proven, is that the Akashic Records is the place in the universe where everything that ever has been and ever will be is collected. If you like, it's a library of information. And so Thomas Edison, for instance, a lot of his inventions he got from the Akashic Records. And the way that he did that was that he would only allow himself to have 4 hours sleep a night. He had a special chair, and when he sat in that chair, he held 2 iron weights, and underneath the weights were two bells that he just left on the floor. And because obviously he was sleep deprived, he would nod off and the weights would drop on the floor. He would wake up and he would be in his hypnagogic state. In other words, he's in his delta theta brainwave. And that's where he got the information to provide us with the so many things that we're benefiting from today. And he's not the only person that has used that. A lot of the visionaries, of course, used various mind-enhancing drugs in order to produce more theta, alpha, and delta brainwaves, which we believe also opened the flow to the Akashic Record Store.
Wow, I love that. I'm definitely looking more into that more. So a couple of questions. We are going back a little bit because I hadn't seen them. So I apologize. But Melinda asked, she used to be an avid fan of Redfield Celestine prophecies. Are you talking about the same type of vibration referred to in his work?
Absolutely. Very much so. And you know, that was 22 years, perhaps even 25 years ago now. And it was a book that was slightly ahead of its time. A lot of people thought you were crazy if you're into the Celestine prophecies. But vibration is vibration, frequency is frequency. And yes, some people are marketing it to create a new book, but ultimately the Celestine prophecy was about raising your vibration and taking responsibility for what you attract in your life.
Cool. And then we had a question from Mandy saying, people experiencing a spiritual emergency, are they experiencing Delta?
A spiritual emergency?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Mandy, maybe just let us know what you mean by spiritual emergency, because rather than us guess, give us what you mean and then we can answer that. So cool. Yeah. So love that. Love that whole side of things. But what are some practical ways? Because we can't all go and spend a week with Dr. Hard. I can't say it. Whatever. The doctor. And it's not practical. So what are some ways that people can influence their brainwaves and benefit from some of the benefits of doing what we've just been speaking about?
Okay, so if you're in beta, then you know, if for instance you suffer with depression, you suffer with anxiety, you suffer with things that are stopping you being who you want to be and achieving what you want, you're certainly not in your alpha and theta brainwaves. So it would make sense to start to influence them as much as possible. So the first one here, and you're not going to love me for this, is no onions, no garlic, no caffeine, no chocolate. And caffeine's in decaf coffee, tea, matcha tea. They've all got caffeine in. No tobacco, no alcohol, and low stress. So, you know, it's a fairly disciplined way of living, and no processed foods either. So all of those apps kill your alpha brainwaves. And I can testify to this because I wasn't totally believing it. And you know, I'm quite single. I might come across as a little bit airy fairy, but I like to see for myself that things are what they seem. And so I took some garlic and not together, but I had a coffee and I had some garlic and I went into the chamber, and the next day my ECG chart, if you like, was flatlined. So I had to fess up to Dr. Hart what I'd done, but nonetheless, I saw for myself the power. So, you know, think twice. The way that I get around this, because I don't want to be a saint, not all the time anyway, is that when I decide to have a coffee, I might as well have alcohol. I might as well have garlic. I might as well have onions. It doesn't matter how much you have, because just the smallest amount flatlines your brainwaves. So I fill my boots for 24 hours, know that the next 24 hours I'm going to be low alpha, and then back onto the path. So, and that works for me. But what else can you do? I highly recommend transcendental meditation for so many reasons. If you just Google it, you'll see lots of science that proves the value. TM is proven to increase your alpha. It is proven to reduce your stress, increases your creativity. I believe it also creates your ability to manifest, connect with your higher self. So, and it's simple. It's really simple. It's twice a day. And you've got people like Oprah and Gwyneth Paltrow who swear by it, and they don't spend an hour a day doing anything unless it is highly valuable. So I think that speaks for itself as well. The quality of your thoughts. You talked about the quality of questions earlier, Will, which is, the same. The quality of our thoughts that we have, they dictate which brainwaves we're in. So if I'm in, doubt and fear and boredom, I'm actually going to come out of the brainwaves that I want. When I was producing alpha brainwaves, and the interesting thing was that I had to keep changing the methodology I used because the brain gets bored. So on my first time that I scored high with my alphas, I was imagining driving my car. I've got a new car. I absolutely loved it. And my brain just lit up like a beacon. Well, I thought, I'm on to a winner here, easy peasy. I tried it. The next set of tests didn't work. I had to think of something else. So you need to keep your imagination really fed and things that you love, absolutely love. And you'll start to feel the difference. And like everything, calibrate how you feel, because how your body feels is always giving you feedback. Your body is constantly giving you feedback.
And I speak a lot with clients and workshops of any emotion is ultimately a signal, and it's a signal to be either thinking or acting differently. What's your opinion? And I do a lot of exercises. Some of you that have been to my events, I do something called an emotional flood. What's your opinion on people gaining feeling from going back to positive memory? Is that is that something that has a similar impact in your opinion? So going back to positive emotions and reliving those moments of pride and achievement and love and connection and whatever else it is that they want to remember, is that just as beneficial in your opinion?
Absolutely. So whatever you focus on, you magnify, you're going to get more of. So people who focus on the doo-doo in life, the downside of life, are going to magnify that, okay? But let's work the other way. At the age of 40, I'd never experienced the feeling of joy. I'd been happy, I'd been high, I'd been elated, I'd been all of those things, but never joy. And I was sitting at my kitchen table, sun flooding in, and I was writing, and I just got this spark of joy. And I knew what it was instantly, but it had gone. And I knew to tune into it. And I shut my eyes and I breathed that feeling. And I just had to keep remembering it. And I flooded my body with it. I just kept on using my breath, making it more and more. And by doing that exercise, I was able to create joy on demand. Now, we do that with other emotions. So in answer to your question, I am a massive believer of manipulating our emotions. Just like I said earlier, we've become a slave to our emotions, and that should never have been. They are simply signposts, but we've forgotten to read.
Yep. Love that. So Mandy's come back to us, said, could the experience of being in delta brainwave mode bring about an experience that would only be described as mystical, pattern noticing, visuals that no one else can see, a profound sense connection?
Okay, so it sounds as though you've been flooded with your pineal gland has been operating. So your pineal gland, funny enough, is just here. Will and I were talking about this before we came on air. So it's your third eye, and it's your intuition. It's if you produce DMT, it's called the spirit molecule. DMT is present in every living being on this planet. Science, with all its wisdom, says that it's erroneous, it has no purpose, but we believe that, or the alternative scientists believe that it is actually the bridge to the other world, whatever you want to call it, to the cosmos. So if your pineal gland was busy and it was producing a lot of DMT, that makes absolute sense that you would hallucinate. and that you would have visions and a mystical experience. But no, I don't believe that. It's very unlikely that it's Delta.
Okay, cool. You mentioned transcendental meditation. I must admit, it's something I've heard of. It's not something I've done. Is it something that you do?
Not as often as I should do, really.
And what's the difference between transcendental versus normal meditation?
To be honest with you, there are so many different meditations. It would be a hard one to answer because everybody seems to have a different take on what meditation is. But I mean, I think that it has been practiced and they teach it in such a way that your thoughts are not something that you banish. They don't believe, and I think it's absolutely true, they don't believe that the average human is able to go be thoughtless. What we do is we just notice the thought, we let it disappear whilst putting a silent mantra out into the universe. And certainly magic happens. I as I say, I wish I practiced more. I just don't make time for it. I do a lot of stuff. It's just not high on my radar at the moment. But I have clients that I've got to do it because I know the power of it, and watching their transformation through TM is phenomenal.
Yeah. Something you said recently when we were speaking was feelings change frequencies. Which I thought was a really good summary of what you said, given sort of the vibration side of things. And then we got talking on to how thoughts and vision impact those. So thoughts and visions impact feelings, but it's the feelings that actually change the frequency. So it's not when we're visualizing and when we're thinking positive thoughts, what they are doing is creating the feeling, and it's the feeling that changes the frequency. So the more we can feel ourselves into the way we want to feel, the better it's going to be for us in terms of the frequency of what we're doing. And we talk about the secret law of attraction. There's I'm going to find it. Someone was telling me about this the other day. I think it's absolutely fantastic. When I find it, I'll say it. But let me see if I can find it quickly before we move on. Here it is. The law of sympathetic resonance. Is it something you're familiar with? So the law of sympathetic resonance is effectively the fact that we're all connected via vibration is the essence of it. But yeah, the law of sympathetic resonance. I've probably mentioned this at least every week since I've watched it. If you haven't watched Inner Outer Worlds on YouTube, watch it. It's a bit deep and it can be a bit far-fetched at the beginning, but essentially it's the most up-to-date knowledge and research put into a film on how science has caught up with spirituality. It's the most up-to-date research that's been created as a film, at least on YouTube, which is really really impactful. So yeah, that's that side of things. Again, in terms of sort of just to round up, really, based on what we've touched on so far, sort of the different elements of brainwaves, vibration, is there anything that you think is must-know knowledge for the people that have tuned in this evening on anything we've been speaking about, but maybe I haven't brought up on that front so far?
I think look, there's so much. Well, I mean, I could sit and chat with you all night. I think the first thing to remember is don't believe everything you think. Your mind is a monkey. If you don't take control of your mind, it's going to take control of you. And lordy, that's not going to be pretty. Don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you feel needs to be worked through. Okay. Now, it is a gift. Whatever you're feeling is telling you. If you're feeling bad, it means you've got to change something. If you're feeling good, you're probably on the right path. As a broad rule of thumb. And those growing pains, when you have the shit hit the fan, when things feel like you are really uncomfortable, that's where your magic is. Don't shy away from it. Find somebody who knows about this stuff. And if you don't want to get a coach, can't afford a coach, or it's not your bag, find a wise friend who can just hold you accountable, hold your hand through it, because it will pass. And when it passes, you're going to up level, and what you attract is going to up level. So if you're thinking about, for instance, starting a business or upgrading your business or relationship, whatever it is, the universe is going to give you what you need to become the person to make that happen and to be able to sustain it. Because a lot of us don't actually achieve what we think we want, not because we don't think we deserve it, but because we're scared of maintaining it. We don't know how we're going to do that. By becoming the person that attracts the same vibe as what it is that you are seeking to achieve, you don't need to bump and grind. And, I was saying yesterday to you, I'm not one of these coaches that say, be relentless, 24/7, never have a break, go hustle. Absolutely not. I work in a totally different way, and I chase nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe my dog. I mean, that's about it. But what I do is I set my vibration, I set my frequency at exactly the vibe that I want to attract. So if I want to attract speaking at Cannes in the south of France, that's the vibration I set myself up. And guess what? Against the odds, I still have no idea how it happened. That's what's happening this year. So my ability to manifest is purely down to my ability to feel the vibration of what it is that I want to attract towards me.
I love that. And yesterday when we were speaking, you used a great analogy, one that I've never heard before, which was like, imagine the universe is your not your mobile phone, is the phone. You said it better than I did.
Excuse me. Yeah, so just imagine those old curly phones. Yeah, do you remember, with the receiver, and they've got the curly wire, and so they're retro now, very cool. But that wire's going up to the universe, and you're on the phone and you're saying to the universe, I really want to have an apartment by the seaside. I really want to have $1 million in the bank, and I really want to have a loving relationship and change the world. Okay, nothing too much. But do you know what the universe hears? Because it's all blocked up. It hears, well, of course you're not going to get it. So what do we have to do? The first thing we got to do is we've got to clear that curly cord, because it doesn't matter what we're saying at this level. If it can't get up there, we're wasting our energy.
Sorry, go on.
No, you please.
And I was going to say, and I love this way you use it yesterday, because like you say, we've all been there where the crackles, we're saying it, we're on the phone, and you're like, they go, I can't hear you, it's cutting out, and you're like, come on, this is what I'm saying. Yes, can you hear me? We're like on the phone, and no, I can't hear you. And then they hang up, they're gone. And you're like, for God's sake, all right, I've got to call them back, or wait to get new signal, or whatever it is. But what are those things? What are the blockages for people that stop things getting to the universe to be able to create?
Great question. So the first thing is, look at your diet. Low vibe food. Now, look, if you're going to go out and you're going to go and have a burger and a bottle of wine and a couple of beers or whatever it is, do it consciously. Say to yourself, okay, look, I know I'm going to go off the path, but then I'm going to clean my act up for 5-6 days. So, I tend to work on a 2-5 premise. I've 2 days, like the weekend, I'll eat, drink pretty much what I want, but then 5 days I am as clean as a whistle. That works for me. But you'll find your own rhythm, okay? But processed food is a killer, and not only physically but spiritually. Your thoughts, who you hang with, you will become the vibrational average of the people that you must spend the most time with. So if you are hanging with people who are judgmental or angry, or just feeling that the world owes them a living, you are going to be brought down. Your vibration will become the average of the 5 of you. But also don't live in want and don't live in the future. In other words, live in gratitude and live in the now. If you are living in the future, you're likely to be anxious. If you're living in the past, you're likely to be depressed. It's in the now that you can make the difference. It's in the now you change your vibration. You can't change tomorrow's vibration. You can't change yesterday's. Have clean thoughts. Drink lots of water. That's something I've got to say, I have to work at that like an absolute dog. Why do we have to drink lots of water? Because it's water that detoxes us. It's the water that gets rid of what we no longer need. Please bathe in magnesium flakes and Epsom salts. You want half a kilo of each, preferably organic. I've got a great, I'm not on a commission, I've got a great organic website that I use that they deliver for 5 kilos of each. And it's half a kilo of each for 20 minutes. So what happens is the Epsom salts take out the low vibration stuff. So, and that's your energy, basically. It takes out the impurities, but the magnesium actually goes into your system, and magnesium floods and looks after your nervous system. And if you're stressed, your stress eats your magnesium. So we recommend 90+% of people are short on magnesium. And it's one of the reasons we're getting so much stress, so problems with sleep. You have a magnesium bath, you're going to sleep.
So I just want to make sure I got all of these. So low vibe food, having high vibe food, the organic, cutting out the garlic. What was it again? The garlic, onion,
caffeine,
alcohol,
decaf and matcha, the whole thing. Chocolate's got caffeine, by the way. Tobacco, alcohol, and stress. Stress kills your alphas.
Yeah. Okay. Water, being present, magnesium, Epsom salt baths.
Sorry, what?
Was it magnesium in the bath or magnesium as a supplement? Because I've taken it as a supplement before.
I take magnesium, iodine, and fulvic minerals religiously. We are, as a culture in the Western world, we are endemically short of all three. So they're a game changer.
So what are those again? Just so
fulvic minerals, and they actually should be in the soil, but because of the way that we farm, we've depleted the soil, and unless even organic soil is short of fulvics, unless you buy biodynamic, and if you do know where to get it, please give me a shout if you're near Richmond, then there's no fulvic minerals anymore in the soil. So take your fulvic minerals, and it's really important. Take iodine. In the 50s, when a baby was born and was mentally damaged or retarded, the surgeon would say they were cretinous. You ever heard of the word cretin?
Yeah, you're a cretin, yeah.
That's it. What it actually meant was short on iodine.
Right.
And it stopped because big pharmacy is a massive business. It's probably the most profitable business in the world. It's also the most powerful. And iodine stops so many symptoms, including, by the way, hormone issues, whether you're a teenager or menopausal or whatever's going on. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Everybody should be taking iodine. And then your magnesium. So your magnesium, your fulvic minerals, your iodine, you will notice a difference, and they're not expensive. And again, if you want a link, I'll send you a link. I've got no attachment to this company, but I just know that it's made with love and really good gear.
If you could, so I know you come off Facebook, didn't you? You came off Facebook. Are you on Facebook now? So in fact, I'll tell you what, if you send me the link and I'll post it in the group, that's probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's fine. So fulvic vitamins, iodine, and the other one was
magnesium. So the magnesium flakes and the Epsom salts, both organic, half a kilo of each in the bath. So that's a kilo. It's a lot. 20 minutes. I like to put a bit of oil in, a bit of essential oil. You don't have to do that. Don't wash your hair in it, but 20 minutes. And what it's going to do, it's going to purify you, but it's also you're going to absorb the magnesium you need.
Love it. Okay. And then anything else? So the low vibe food, water, being present, magnesium, and sort of
the way you hang, the environment you're in. Spend time in nature. If any of you follow me, you know that I spend at least an hour and a half in nature every morning. Rain, shine, snow, doesn't matter. It's one of the biggest joys, but also I found it sets me up for the day. And I believe if you master the morning, you master the day.
Couldn't agree with you more. Agree with you more on that.
I don't start client work until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm regularly working till later in the evening. But that gives me that setup in the morning. I do my intentions, I do my gratitudes, and it works. It genuinely works. And if you don't believe me, and that's fine, just go try it.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. I mean, you're right. We could sit here and we could just talk all night, and that's I think a friend of mine's just messaged me, Emma. I'm shouting you out. She just messaged me. I'm going to read it because I think it's funny. She said, "This is why I'm conscious as a motherfucker. I do most of what she's saying. Epsom salt baths are my jam."
I'm absolutely with you.
So Mandy said, "How much iodine for hormone issues?"
Okay, so I'm going to send Will the link. On the bottle, it says 1 drop. I take about 10 drops 3 times a day for a week, and then I don't take any for a week, and then I go back to it. You cannot overdose on iodine. I mean, even if you take, you took a whole bottle, you're just not going to feel very good. Mm-hmm. So you let your intuition tell you. Yeah, but do get organic.
Yeah, good. Slav's asked, what's your opinion on meat? And I'm curious to know your opinion on meat.
Oh, do you know what? I'm so torn on this. I mean, I went hardcore vegan, and then I couldn't live without cheese. And look, I love animals. Animals are hugely important in my life, and I struggle with the concept of causing suffering to an animal because I fancy some food. However, over the last 3 months, I've crept back to eating meat, generally chicken, but I have had a couple of steaks. Look, I think that you just have to trust your intuition at what's right for you at what time in your life. And I think there's also, the planet is in serious trouble, and we've got to change our ways. And one of the easiest ways to change our ways is to stop eating meat, to eat more plants. Now, that's not going to do it on its own. So I think on so many levels for me, meat comes with a huge conscience, but I don't think that there is one right way for everybody. I think everybody has got many, many paths that are right for them, and it's a case of much more listening to your intuition. If you eat meat, then we started this with consciousness. Be consciously aware of how it makes you feel. Do you feel heavy in the tummy? Do you have more energy? Do you not have energy? I tend to find that if I have a steak, it sits heavy. I can feel it. It's like, and of course, then I have all the visuals and stuff. So it puts me off, which is I'm quite pleased about. But, just to reiterate, it's what's right for you. And don't let anybody tell you what's right for them is right for you. And that's why, Will and I love to learn and spread so many different ideas and concepts, because something's going to hit the spot for you, and just go and try it.
Love it. Melinda, yes, Melinda, I will pass on the recommendations on the fulfill minerals and everything as soon as I get the link from Michelle. Before we finish up, this is one thing that I really wanted to talk about, because this is something I feel really passionate about. My passion, the majority of the people that I work with, or the core of the people that I work with, are people that are looking to create new results in their life, but they're falling into what I call the rift: stress, overwhelm, frustration, depression, anxiety, unfulfillment. And I believe that these negative emotions are preventing people a lot of the time of actually achieving what it is that they truly want to be achieving in their life. I believe that they are some of the things that are in the coil up to the universe, if you like, and preventing them from getting what they want. I mean, for example, guilt. If people are holding on to guilt quite often will show up as people not having what they want financially. It's a similar way that it shows up. So that's one of the opinions, one of my opinions on that front. But all of these emotions that are preventing from people, in my opinion, are things that are impacting their deserve level. And if they don't feel they deserve it, regardless of what anyone else thinks, if they don't feel they deserve it, they won't be able to have it. Or if they do get it, they don't have it very long. Things like guilt, shame, anger, generally, obviously, then they're sort of the past emotions. And then you've got the other emotions, the other end of the spectrum, like anxiety, extreme anxiety. What's your opinion? Because I'm no doubt there'll be people that have definitely, well, everyone on here, I would imagine, have experienced some of those emotions at some point in their life. Some people are experiencing it from time to time. Some people living those emotions. What's your opinion on how important they are, or getting rid or not having those particular types of emotions in being able to increase your consciousness, to be able to have what you want in life?
Okay, I mean, can we do another show on this? I mean, I could go on forever about this. So in a nutshell, first of all, a lot of those emotions that you've discussed there are strategies for holding ourselves back, because what we do is we like to focus on the daydream, but we don't really want to achieve it. And you might think, you know what, I really, really do. No, you don't. You've got an inner child in there that's saying, I'm not ready. Don't put me on stage. Or, you know, we're only going to screw it up. We'll go and spend it all on drugs and fast women or whatever it is. It's like, I want to stay safe. So you've got to know yourself. You've got to really know yourself. And what most people do is they create a life for who they think they want to be. Or, you know, so it doesn't work. You've got to really know what's going on for you. All of those emotions have got, so if you're in anxiety, to get a grip of what it is. So anxiety is fear running through your body. Okay, so that tells me that you almost certainly had trauma when you were a child. The trauma has learned, so you're on hypervigilance. Therefore, the trauma is there, has shown you that it is not a safe world. So you want to go outside your comfort zone, your body's going to feel anxiety. So this is where you say to yourself, is there anything that is genuinely creating anxiety here? Is there a lion in the garden? Am I about to put my house on a horse? Am I about to, you know, run over my granny? Whatever it is, because then you've got that is appropriate fear. But most of us aren't in appropriate fear. Most of us are in anxiety that is your body saying that once upon a time it wasn't safe. So if I know that and I feel anxious, I can soothe myself, first of all, by physically soothing. Just put your hand on your chest, start stroking your chest. 20% of your brain only responds to physical touch. So, you know, if you see a kid and it falls over, you don't just go, there, you'll be better. Your instant reaction is to scoop it up, hug it, yeah, and to stroke it, yeah, because that 20% of the brain needs that reassurance. But what do we do when we feel anxious? We look for a reason to hang that anxiety on. I'm feeling anxiety in my body. It must be because I'm starting a new business. No, it doesn't. It means that your body is just somatically processing fear that you've been holding on to for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So if we somatically allow that fear to release and we learn how to do that, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable at all. But what we're doing is we're teaching our body that we don't have to validate every feeling. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, no, I get it. I really get it. I think there's so much that goes back to being able to, and this comes back to the consciousness piece, is going back in, looking in, finding those things, realizing those, identifying the pattern. And I know you come from an NLP background as well, right? And one of the presuppositions of NLP is everything you're doing, every behavior has a positive intention. So there is a positive intention of, and there is positive intentions of things that we don't want, and the things that we look at. When we look at that and find out what that is, like you say, it's the protection method, a method to protect us and do those things, and then we can go, right, well, is this serving me now? No, I can move on with it, and it makes a big difference.
You know, many of us will never reach our potential or anywhere near it because we set goals that subconsciously we will sabotage, because we like the dream, we like talking about it, we like visualizing it, but actually we're never going to go near actually getting it.
Yeah. I've shared this before, but a really powerful realization, a really powerful example of this that happened for me personally. So I've always fancied girls with big, beautiful eyes and nice big smiles and really nice teeth. It's always been my thing. If people say, like, are you a boobs guy or a bum guy? I'm like, no, I'm just like eyes and smile. Like, give me a girl with nice eyes and nice smile, I'm all over it. And I never knew why. I thought that's just my thing. Like, that's just what I like. And then a couple of years ago, I had a massive realization. Now, I say this thing about girls with nice eyes and nice smiles and all these things, but what I'd also noticed that is throughout my life, I was either with girls that were really high maintenance, that were really high maintenance, that deep down, I kind of just knew that it was never going to last in the long run, or I was with girls that are amazing and I would screw it up. And I never realized why. And then I had the realization that 20 years ago, or 20 years prior to that, at the time I was 7 years old, about 6 or 7 years old, I had a girlfriend. And this particular girlfriend was a girl called Kelly McCormack. And Kelly was the love of my life at 7 years old. We used to walk around the playground holding hands. It was amazing. She was Australian. And then one day she just left. Now, her parents, I'm assuming, must have been like contractors over here for a short period of time, because she joined in like year 2 or whatever, and then left in year 4, whatever it was, and just went back. And then it dawned on me that for all those years, the reason I'm sort of drawn to these women, but then I choose the high maintenance ones, or I screw those ones up, is because deep down, I thought they were just going to leave me anyway. And when I become aware of that, I was like, right, well, I can make a conscious choice of whether that's going to be the case. Now, I still like girls with nice big eyes, nice big smiles, but now I just don't choose the high maintenance ones, and I don't screw up the ones with the ones that I do like. So it was a really interesting way of me becoming aware of a pattern from 20 years ago that I was completely unconscious of at the time, and remained completely unconscious of for 20 years up until that point. But that's the power of increasing your consciousness and becoming more and more aware of what's going on. I'm going to draw this out, but I talk about all possible knowledge, and with all possible knowledge, most of us think there's information that we know and there's information that we don't know, and most people would agree that there's more information out there that they don't know than what it is that they know. But the truth is that isn't the case. It's actually this. So there's 3 elements. There's information they know, there's information they don't know, and there's the information which is the majority, which is the information they don't know that they don't know. And when you go from that point of information being that you don't know it, going into information you know, that there, when it crosses that line, is when you have the aha moments, the light bulb moments, the lightning moments, because eureka moments, whatever you want to call them, because all of a sudden it becomes conscious. So really powerful. So Michelle, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. If anyone has got any questions, then please ask them quickly before we shoot off. Slav said, my friend says that meat doesn't contain life, while fruits, for example, do. If you look at the picture of the aura, you can see it very clearly. So eating fruits gives us more life in a way. I'm not sure how true that is, but it makes sense to me. I would agree. Yeah, eating live foods. We know that if we have an apple, here's one here. If we have an apple and I just leave that apple here for a couple of days, it cripples up and you wouldn't think about eating it. We know that animals are obviously live, and then we cut them up, so to speak, crude. They're no longer live, and we wouldn't, but then we think about eating it. But I mean, I do eat meat, but and even just saying this now is making me think maybe I won't. But we wouldn't think twice about going and picking up that rotten apple. But yeah, I mean, you can open up a whole.
There is. I mean, one thing to say that hasn't come up tonight is that when we eat meat, we're actually also eating all the stress hormones, because however good that animal's life has been, the slaughterhouse is a stress hole, and so they flood with adrenaline, cortisol, all of the other 50 chemicals that are associated with stress, and we're actually eating the fear. So that's something else that I'm very aware of. I can feel. When I'm really clean, I can feel the difference in my vibration.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mandy said that was awesome, very inspiring and helpful. You're welcome.
Thank you.
One other thing that I want to give you guys as a little bit of a nugget here. This is one of my favorite little tools. There is a website, which is also an app called Brain FM, which I've just posted in the Facebook group. Now, Brain FM is music that's been created scientifically. There's loads of white papers on it, but it's been scientifically to improve you in 3 areas by changing your brain waves, and that enables you to focus more, to relax, makes it to meditate, and while to sleep. So it plays music at a certain frequency to change your brain waves. If you don't use it, it's phenomenal. I meditate with something called a Muse, and it basically measures what my brain waves are doing whilst I'm meditating. And when I use Brain FM and I meditate, I get a significant difference. And it's proven to do it in 10 minutes. You can go and read all their research and everything they do. Really, really cool thing. So I put the link there. Just go on their website, have a play with it. There's ones that you can do. They call it a recharge, where you recharge for 15 minutes, you plug it in, and it changes your brainwave to give you more energy. There's the relaxation ones. There's the focus ones. So if you want to do a really bit of intensive piece of work, you just put it on, and it sounds a bit like white noise, but a pleasurable version of white noise. And yeah, just it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it. So,
and it's funny you should say that, because it just reminded me in the chamber is that we do white noise levels, and so that's something that that is synonymous with the brainwave work. And Dr. Hart is actually producing headsets that I was hoping to get for this summer, but I'm going to be trialing them with my clients and really looking at the impact on them, certainly by the end of this year. And they're going to be the most advanced in the world. For the money, they're going to be about 500 quid. So at the moment, to get something that is really powerful in a brainwave headset is about £12,000.
Yeah.
So watch this space.
Good, exciting. And then just one sort of acknowledge Sab's comment. If raising our consciousness is important, does it mean we should watch more things that are labelled as conspiracy theories? That's raising our awareness about the Matrix, isn't it? My personal opinion on that is I'd certainly be open-minded to things. Does that mean we should watch them? My answer would be no. I don't know about yours, Michelle, but I would maybe be open-minded to things. I mean, ultimately, the things that people once upon a time deemed crazy were true, i.e. the world is round. You know, that someone come up with that idea once and it's proven. Well, yeah, we're going back, right? Apparently. So yeah, that's my opinion. I don't know what you've got to say on that.
I think we'll be very careful with conspiracy. Look, you know, I am very politically aware. I'm very pro-planet, and I like to keep myself, you know, I'm just a natural learner. I'm curious, but I think it's very easy to get stuck in the conspiracy rabbit hole. You can't change it. I think it can really lower your vibe. You can get involved in all sorts of stuff. I think the way that I would look at it, focus on what you can impact.
Yeah.
That way you're going to feel in control, it's upbeat, and you're going to be helping the planet.
Fantastic. So guys, we've gone over. Hopefully you've still benefited from that. The YouTube program that I mentioned was Inner Outer Worlds. I'll post it in the group here as well. Inner Outer Worlds. It is a paid YouTube video, but it's like £3 or something, like cheaper than going to the cinema. Inner Outer Worlds. I posted it in on the Facebook group on the official thread. Michelle, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. It really has. And guys, we'll tell you first on Tuesday. I think it's next Tuesday. I'll just have to double check. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. What day is today? Today is Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it wasn't today. I'm pretty sure it is next week. We did a podcast with Michelle, and you'll be able to listen to the podcast again, or listen to the podcast for the first time when that gets released. It might have been today. It might be next week. I lose track of everything that's going on. So that's that. Please, if you enjoyed this evening, please go to the Elite Network community, our Facebook group, share what you took from it. I really want to know. I can feed that back to Michelle. of what it was that you liked, what it was that you learned, what it is that you're going to go and do, because that's most importantly on the back of these things. It's well and good having a nice chat this evening, but I know it's certainly not my intention, and I know I believe it's not Michelle's intention for us to just talk about this so that you've had something entertaining for the evening. We want you to go and put this stuff into action and actually benefit from what it is that's going on. So please go to the group, commit to what it is you're going to test, whether it is trying transcendental meditation, whether it is deciding that you're going to test cutting out some of the low vibe food, whether it is going for an Epsom salt bath, whatever it might be. Post it in the group. Let us know what you thought of the webinar. And then we'll be back next month on the second Tuesday of the month for Will's webinar once again. So I guess that pretty much leaves us to say, Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, if you just do one thing as a result of tonight, start calibrating. Calibrate how you feel before something and after something, because that's going to raise your consciousness all by itself. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, guys, until next time, make it happen.
Cheers. Good night.